It was special from the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I got receipts. I had to keep the text messages for the non-believers. But I actually did the song and had them.
The sad tale of LUL PAB serves as a sobering lesson of the perils of timing and association. Despite his shortcomings, his passing served as an example of how one's destiny may be significantly impacted by associations with certain individuals or occasions. Although he wasn't always innocent, he also didn't deserve to die a cruel death. This synopsis examines the terrible incidents that led to LUL PAB's premature death, as well as the events that surrounded his life and provided insight into his destiny. On August 19, 2022, Quando Rondo was driving a black Cadillac Escalade close to West Hollywood with his cousin Savannah Robinson, also known as LUL PAB. When they were ambushed and killed, their voyage took a terrible turn. Around 5:30 p.m., Rondo and PAB had pulled over at a petrol station when a gang of armed men unexpectedly assaulted their car. 5 shooters shot at the Cadillac as soon as they stepped out of an adjacent vehicle. Quando Rondo was the intended target of this ambush, which seems to have been planned. Quando, however, escaped the brutal assault, although LUL PAB was gravely wounded. PAB was taken to the hospital shortly after, where he was unfortunately declared dead. People were stunned by LUL PAB's murder and began to wonder how he died. His death occurred only days before he was due to appear in court on significant legal charges, which further complicated the enigma surrounding the incident's timing. He was already embroiled in a web of legal issues, so this was not his first run-in with the authorities. Among them were accusations under the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act (RICO), a group of federal offenses often used to target organized crime and other illicit businesses. In addition to the RICO allegations, PAB was also facing charges in 2 other local instances, indicating a complicated legal history that could have played a role in his demise. The nature of these allegations may help us learn more about PAB's turbulent life. Charges against him in court included second-degree burglary, theft by taking second-degree cruelty to minors, and evading the police. He had been caught up in his illicit activities, but what was most notable was his intention to enter a guilty plea to at least one of the counts. A high-stakes pursuit involving many police agencies led to the allegation of evading or trying to avoid police. PAB led police on a fast-paced cross-state chase that took them from Georgia to South Carolina during this incident. This careless conduct highlighted his dangerous way of life and disdain for the law, which eventually made his problems worse. A significant theft case in 2017 was one of the occurrences connected to his legal issues. 10 vehicles totaling more than $100,000 were allegedly stolen from the Chatham Parkway Collision Center by PAB and his associates. His role in organized crime was further highlighted by this occurrence. The Collision Center heist was a massive operation that demonstrated not just a single crime, but also a connection to more extensive coordinated operations. This incident increased PAB's legal dangers by indicating to authorities that he was engaged in significant illegal activities. It also clarified why, at the time of his untimely demise, he was dealing with such a wide range of legal issues. The severity of these accusations increased as PAB's trial date approached. Given that the combination of the burglary, child abuse, and police evasion charges might have resulted in a severe jail sentence, his willingness to enter a guilty plea to at least one crime may have been a tactic to lessen his total sentence. Regrettably, PAB never had the chance to defend himself in court due to his violent death, which may have stemmed from his relationships with dangerous individuals and ongoing disputes. His experience highlights how risky associations and a high-stakes lifestyle may sometimes have deadly results, even though he was by no means innocent. In the days before his terrible murder, LUL PAB's tale kept changing. He was scheduled to appear in court on August 26, 2022, to answer to a number of severe allegations. LUL PAB, who had been out on bail for over 2 years, had tried to build a respectable life and pursue business endeavors throughout that period. He started a French bulldog kennel called Supreme Exotic Frenchies and a trucking firm called Express Carriers as part of his business endeavors. He was unable to overcome his difficult history, nevertheless, in spite of his best attempts. With a wealth of evidence linking him to several crimes, law enforcement was certain of their case against him. Therefore, the prosecution's preparations were thrown off when he was murdered. Since his death created a large hole in the prosecution's case, the Chatham County District Attorney's Office ultimately decided against pursuing the charges posthumously. The case against the other defendants faced significant difficulties with the absence of LUL PAB, who had played a key role in the investigation. Those close to him, particularly his cousin Quando Rondo, were greatly affected by the fallout from his death, which echoed through his family and neighborhood. Because of their intimate collaboration and the same life experiences, the two formed a strong affinity. Known for his reflective lyrics, rapper Quando Rondo has long made references to his cousin in his songs. In fact, he even mentioned LUL PAB in his 2018 single ABG. Both on and off the streets, they were inseparable due to their tight friendship, with LUL PAB playing a significant role in Quando's life and music. Quando had a profound emotional shift as a result of LUL PAB's passing, which had an impact on him on a personal and professional level. Quando found it difficult to deal with the terrible loss after the death of his cousin, he released a song called Life Goes On in remembrance of his deceased relative in order to cope with his sadness. The song struck a chord with its message of resiliency and the will to escape a life of adversity and street violence. Quando honored LUL PAB's memory by expressing in his songs the anguish of losing someone so dear to you and your will to go on. Quando's perspective may have changed after listening to the song Life Goes On. Given the toll that living on the streets had placed on him and his loved ones, he makes reference to his want to leave it behind in it. Quando's song was a message to his community and supporters, highlighting the importance of change and progress. "We didn't get into this music industry to make it just to stay caught up in this street life," he said. Quando Rondo spoke candidly about his loss in an interview with Vlad TV in addition to using music as a medium. He discussed the anguish and lessons he learned from the tragedy of his cousin's murder in the interview. Quando saw that living on the streets poses serious hazards after giving his life and decisions some thought. He also realized that he needed to change for the better. For him, losing LUL PAB was a turning point that made him aware of the risks in his surroundings and inspired him to avoid further confrontation. A moving message that he posted on social media: "Families and communities rely on each of us. Time to move on from all of it. We've already lost a fantastic deal." He was prepared to make a change, as shown by the feeling of purpose in his statements. The violence that had pervaded his life. Ultimately, LUL PAB's narrative serves as a warning about the dangers of certain lifestyles and the price of risky associations. His existence and premature death serve as a reminder of how fleeting life is in places where there is a lot of crime and violence. This setback seems to have given Quando Rondo a flash of insight, causing him to reflect on the consequences of his decisions and the course he wants to follow in both his personal and professional life. LUL PAB's murder was more than just another news story. It was a turning point in life that brought to light the value of family, the perils of living on the streets, and the promise for a safer, better future. Circumstance, as you can already imagine, I__me with ___ who used to really be on my ass like, little bro, like, what are you doing? You're tripping, let's do this. The murder of LB sparked a great deal of conjecture and online research, with many people wondering if the attack was related to the family group aka OTF. As the murder case came to a close, LUL PAB's disappearance created a hole in the prosecution's case against the other defendants as well as in the lives of his family. It became more difficult to take legal action against other parties involved in the case because LUL PAB was no longer accessible to testify or offer evidence. Due to LUL PAB's involvement in the accusations against the gang, the prosecution's case was weakened. The other defendants, who were still set to appear for a plea hearing on September 30th, presented difficulties for the district attorney's office in constructing a compelling case against them in his absence. The passing of LUL PAB and the circumstances surrounding it served as a reminder to Quando Rondo that change was necessary. Distancing himself from the street life that had already stolen so much from him, he was resolved to utilize the tragedy as a springboard for personal development. He seemed to be thinking about his future as he turned his sorrow into music, hoping to succeed in a new direction in remembrance of LUL PAB. In addition to saying goodbye to his cousin, the tribute song Life Goes On also serves as a public statement of his intention to distance himself from, which was led by the rapper Lil Durk. Before the attack, OTF had been involved in a number of high-profile disputes with Quando Rondo, and his following LP's death, law enforcement agencies stepped up their investigations into the OTF gang's activities, which led to the recent arrest of 5 OTF gang members from Chicago who traveled all the way to Chicago to assassinate Quando Rondo in a murder for a higher plot. This investigation confirmed the rumors that there may have been a connection between these rivalries and the tragic incident. As the inquiry progressed, investigators discovered a treasure trove of evidence, and they disclosed that the purpose was revenge. However, this feud intensified on the evening of November 6, 2020 in a hookah bar in Atlanta at around 3:20 a.m. when Chicago rapper King Vol was shot and died in a heated dispute that became violent. Only 2 weeks after the shooting, Quando released a song called End of the Story, in which he claimed that the shooting was self-defense and that Von should have stopped it. Von got into a fight with Quando Rondo and his gang, and when he attacked Rondo, shots were fired, leaving 6 people injured and 2 dead. Building the case against the 5 accused persons has been made possible by a wealth of evidence, including security video, phone records, and eyewitness testimony. In order to answer the question, we must go back to the murder of November 6, 2020, and how the OTF gang and Quando Rondo had been at odds for years. The evidence indicates that the accused carefully planned their actions, leaving little room for chance in their quest for revenge. A storm of controversy as he was accused of the murder and felt his side of the story was not being heard. On April 12, 2021, Quando decided to share the actual events that happened that night in an exclusive interview with the breakfast radio host Angela Yee. According to Quando Rondo's version of the story, the events happening before the murder King Vow's murder began in a club parking lot with him and his younger brother El Tim. His brother had recently been released from prison, so he wanted the two of them to go out and party and get some girls. However, Quando says he told his brother he was leaving but advised that Lil Tim find a female companion to kill time because his brother didn't want him to wait in the car by himself for security reasons. Instead, Tim suggested that they roll up some weed while they waited for their friends to park their fancy car while they stood by. Although he was not the aggressor in the incident, reports surfaced indicating that King Vow approached QV Rondo, causing the confrontation that would ultimately result in gunfire in the chaos that ensued, in his own words. Quando Rondo described how he was taken by surprise by a group of people passing by, describing the moment as an out-of-body experience when someone from the group suddenly hit him. This unexpected confrontation quickly escalated, leading to a physical altercation between the two groups. Although Lil Tim was charged with King Von's murder on November 7, 2020, he was not booked into Fulton County Jail until November 19 because of injuries he sustained during the altercation. Tim was later released on a $100,000 bond, but the legal proceedings and public scrutiny remained a threat. During the interview, Rondo also discussed the alleged tension between himself and Lil Durk. King Von's close friend and the head of Quando Rondo stated that he was not aware of any hostility and thought he had a positive relationship with Lil Durk, who had appeared on his album. This revelation added another level of complexity to the story of what happened that night. He also talked about how, even though Durk was a big artist, he never charged him for a feature, which was one of the things that increased his respect for Durk. As a result, it was surprising to learn that Durk and Von were at odds, but many Durk and Von fans didn't trust him since Quando was released. Shortly after seeming to disparage King Von in a virtual performance, Rondo was interviewed, which heightened the situation. On the other hand, Quando Rondo, born Takan Terrell Bowman, emerged from Savannah, Georgia and signed with the NBA Youngboys label. He made a name for himself with his melodic style and emotionally charged songs. He was signed by his childhood friend Lil Durk to the Only Family label. This partnership proved fruitful as he released several successful projects, including his third album, Welcome to All Block, just 1 week before he passed away. He was caught without that pole, and now that __ass___ is gone, I'll urinate on his grave. Among those who were offended by Quando's behavior during the concert was Range Rover Han, King Von's uncle, who has been outspoken about the continuous hostility between the two factions in an interview with Futures TV. He made it apparent that V's associates will keep putting pressure on Quando Rondo ___ and provided evidence to support his declaration of the gravity of the issue. King Von's rise to fame was characterized by his unadulterated talent. He was born and reared in Chicago's infamous U Block neighborhood and encountered many obstacles early on. He started rapping while he was imprisoned at the age of 19 on a murder charge, which was later dropped after his release. Tracks. Even though the conflict between King Von and Quando Rondo was not well known prior to the incident, it is thought to have resulted from rivalries and affiliations within the hip-hop community. However, it appears that Durk has finally received justice for Von's death because 4 years after Von's murder, there are now rumors that Lil Durk may have placed a bounty on Quando Rondo's head in retaliation for Von's murder. I'll explain the costs of this. The part Lil Durk played in the killing. According to the police authority, Lil Durk was taken into custody in South Florida on October 24, 2024, for the assault that resulted in the untimely death of Queer Rondo's cousin. The indictment against Lil Durk coincided with the unsealing of another indictment against 5 other members of his OTF family, and his arrest was related to a murder-for-hire plan. Lil Durk apparently planned to assassinate Quando Rondo in retaliation for King Von's death, but his cousin was slain instead of his lawyer Martin Estrada, whose office is prosecuting the case, called the act a cold-blooded murder that put other people in the area under peril in addition to killing a rival's family member. Charges against Durk include conspiracy to commit murder, murder for hire, and murder. The Department of Justice claims that the hitman engaged in the conspiracy was funded by Lil Durk and OTF-related funds in for hire, which resulted in death. Prosecutors said that 5 people were paid. They further said that Durk gave the OTF associates instructions not to book flights under any identities connected to them in order to go from Chicago to Los Angeles the day before the killing to carry out the murder. Prosecutors contend that this demonstrates premeditation and Durk's future is not looking bright. It was also disclosed that Durk attempted to leave the nation just before his detention in an effort to mislead the FBI. Durk purchased 2 one-way tickets to Switzerland and Dubai on the same day, but the FBI did not become a victim of the scam. They soon discovered that he was not on either trip and that, in accordance with the accusation, he had reserved a private aircraft to fly from Miami to Italy. Durk was taken into custody by FBI agents on November 24th at about 8 p.m., 1 hour before the private plane's departure. Since then, his attorney Alec Ubeda has asked for privacy and has not commented on the issue. But regrettably, Durk's arraignment is scheduled for Los Angeles, and if found guilty, he may be sentenced to life in federal prison or the death penalty. Many of his fans are shocked by the Lil Durk situation. Some have pointed out that on August 18, 2024, Lil Durk shared his tale of change on Twitter, stating that everyone should be given another shot in life. It all depends on how they handle it. Fortunately, my history was cleared and all cases were removed. Durk scribbled, "I'm no longer a felon." On another hand, as usual, a lot of people have been asking how the authorities were able to link Durk to the murder, which has led to a lot of conjecture. However, the true explanation has been disclosed, and it will blow your mind. Affirmed his Muslim faith and gave up the gang life. In a post that went viral, Durk said, "Don't label me anything outside of a man, a father, and a 1000% Muslim." The Voice then used his Instagram post to elaborate on how his religious journey and his gang life are at odds. "I don't gangbang in a nutshell. I'm a Muslim, and I'll be the one to announce it in my post since you can't do both." In addition to releasing more community-friendly songs in recent years, such as All My Life featuring J. Cole, instead of the typical gangbang songs, Durk was given the key to Broadview, Illinois. However, Mayor Katrina Thompson withdrew the key to her community from Durk in order to further purify his reputation following the recent news of his murder arrest. Durk. Rumor has it that Durk's closest associate is a rat who purportedly wore a wire for OTF Jam, who is currently serving a 12-year sentence for attempted murder, is at the center of this controversy. He is a member of Lil Durk's Only Family crew and is allegedly working with law enforcement in the high-stakes murder-for-hire plot. Jam is said to have given authorities important information about the plot and may have been wired during his interactions with the crew, possibly recording incriminating conversations. As if things weren't bad enough, the situation took an unexpected turn when a video of Jam in an interrogation room appeared online. Jam is shown eating McDonald's informally, as if the entire thing doesn't worry him. This video swiftly gained popularity, and social media users seized the chance to make jokes and memes. A well-known personality in the hip-hop commentary scene, DJ Academics, posted the video and asked fans to caption it. As you can anticipate, the internet was inundated with amusing remarks. One user said they couldn't possibly have captured the snitch burger fries in 4K. They've been attempting to use V-karma. They claim that karma is true, but I disagree, saying that you receive what you sow. Lil Durk's arrest was hailed by Charleston as a win for Black Americans. As you are well aware, Charleston White has never shied away from contentious issues, and this one was no exception. White contends that adolescent listeners have suffered as a result of hip-hop's exaltation of criminal activity, especially in Black neighborhoods. He claims that musicians such as Lil Durk, who often feature their incorporation of themes of crime and violence into their music, feeds a vicious circle of negativity with real-world repercussions. But this isn't the first time Charleston White has called out Lil Durk. Approximately a year ago, he appeared on DJ saying that the rapper should stay in jail without bond and that the legal system should hold him accountable for his alleged actions. He argues that by facing the consequences of their actions, artists can set an example for their fans and show that crime does not pay. Impression that has the power to influence people's thoughts. Young fans, nothing about you is positive, man. We can't look at him and find anything positive about what he says, what he raps about, or how he portrays himself to children. The rappers won't even warn you that killing someone will result in a life sentence. They don't even explain the consequences of killing a ____. Ultimately, whether or not you agree with Charleston, the guy will always express his opinions on matters of politics or Black culture, so I suppose we will have to wait for Lil Durk and follow the outcome of his court case. Do you think he will successfully fight the accusations, or will the authorities really get him? Please share your thoughts with me. If you like this video, click one of the buttons on your screen to see more videos like it.